Steve and Jill here.
Hello.
Welcome to the Land Academy Show, entertaining land investment talk. I'm Stephen Jack Butella.
And I'm Jill DeWitt, broadcasting from sunny Southern California.
Today, Jill and I talk about hiring, training, and trusting your land company virtual assistant.
Cool.
And I will cut to the chase for you. The short answer is, like everything in Land Academy, we've already done it for you.
Exactly.
And I'll show you and tell you all about how and where to find that.
Perfect.
Before we get into it, let's take a question posted by one of our members on the landinvestors.com online community. It's free.
Marcus asks, I just got my first sign offer back and I'm starting my due diligence. When it comes to setting a price to sell at, is there a way to get an idea of what the retail value of the property is from local professionals without revealing what the property is? This is assuming I haven't purchased it yet. And this is awesome. One of our members, Joe, already wrote in and responded. He said, I have a relative who's thinking about selling some property. That's what he said. You could also do that. And Marcus said, thanks. This is a bigger lot in the neighborhood. Taxes are paid, full road frontage with utilities, houses on two sides, and public housing on the other. $5K for almost 2 acres. This is great. So you want to talk about this first?
Well, Jill's and thank you for the response. And these strings go on and on and on. You know, we just posted it today while we're recording this. Jill's an expert at poking her nose around to do research by talking to people in local markets and finding out everything that she needs to know without ever revealing the property. And the fact is, unless you reveal an APN, an assessor's parcel number, they're never... It's not a lot of new people think they're going to call a real estate agent and say, look, I've got this property. It's in this subdivision.
Right.
I just want to know what it's worth. And a lot of people think the real estate agent's going to say, well, give me the address and give me the assessor's parcel number. Tell me who the seller is. Tell me how much you're paying for it, and I'll tell you how much it's worth. And it's never like that. The fact is, real estate agents, vast majority, are not incredibly. They don't know the definition of an APN, and that's literal. I've talked about this with my sister, who's an incredibly intelligent real estate agent and successful. And she hates the assessor. She hates the numbers part of this business. She's not an investor. Fortunately for her husband is. So a lot of the money that she turns fee money into investment money, mostly because of him. So real estate agents, they're not going to pound you the way that you might think.
Right.
So keep the APN to yourself.
Right. And
you'll be all set.
And the thing is, too, this is obviously a subdivision. It's got houses on two sides. It's got utilities. I think he said it's paved. So this is not hard to back into. This is how I look at it, too. So I'm going to look at what the home prices are selling for in that area. We all have Stephen's chart on the equity planner that I can back into it that way with an infill lot. Then I can also go and look at some comps in the area and still make sure I'm right. None of this is crazy. If you want to call around, talk to an agent, like Stephen said, and just especially if you're new, that's your third way of confirming you're doing it right, then I think that's great. Now you got 3 ways to go, yep, okay, now I know. I'm coming in solid. I'm selling it. He's buying it for 5. It's 2 acres. I'm selling it for 49. I feel great about it. And I check these 3 things, and here we go. So
the other thing to do is go onto realtor.com. excuse me, and type in the subdivision and find your property, and then look at all the listings around it, house listings, land listings, anything you can find. It'll value itself.
It will.
$5,000 in general for a large property.
Yeah.
It's got houses all over it, unless it's in some crazy place like where houses are very, very, very cheap.
Right.
Here's a few markets that houses are incredibly cheap, like it shocks me. All the center states, like southwestern Illinois, Arkansas, some parts of Texas, Iowa, that are non-agricultural and non-specific use based, just a house on a lot. I mean, it's so that's a situation where $5K might be too much.
True.
But the vast majority of the properties in the country, that's a great deal.
Right. You got to think about who's going to buy this too. So I'm assuming you're hoping to sell this to a builder. That's the most logical, easiest, quickest way to do this. It's hard to find an end user who's looking for those 2 acres with houses on each side. I mean, depending on what the area is, but often to builders, it sounds like what you're priming this too. So think about who they are and what they're buying and what they're doing and how much they pay and how much it costs, like you're saying, how much it costs to put a house on there and what the value is going to be. So
use the 20% rule too.
yeah.
A builder's generally willing to pay 20% of the actual sale price of his property that he builds.
Right.
For
the
the lot. So in this case, it would be, it gets tricky because, 10% is 50,000. So 20% is 25,000. But nobody sells a new house for 25,000 because it costs more than $100 a foot to buy it, to build it.
Exactly.
So we get into this in Land Academy 2.0 infill lots in an extreme amount of detail. It's tricky when lots are so cheap. That's ironic, but that's the case.
It's interesting.
Today's topic, hiring, training, and trusting your land company virtual assistant. This is the meat of the show. Jill, do you have notes?
Well, this topic comes up now and then because of our members and their growth, and they're asking us like, okay, I clearly need help. You guys have clearly figured out a way to start utilizing inexpensive aid for completing deals, and a lot of it results in using a virtual assistant and often overseas. Oh my goodness. How do I find them? How do I train them? And heaven forbid, trust them with my back access to my website and some of my, data, or just like some of my, they're setting up, collecting money payments for me, whatever it is. So that's where this came from. And I have to say, Stephen, because I'm going to defer to you on a lot of this, because originally I was that person. I'll tell you, when Stephen first came to me and said, here's what we're doing, and I'm going to get a VA over here, and they're going to do this, 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 and this. I'm giving them this access to all these accounts and the website. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, how could you possibly do that? That just seemed insane to me. They're in another country, and you're giving them all this stuff. I later ate my words, and and you were right, and you did it perfectly. So I'm going to defer to you on the initial, if you would, Stephen, tell us first, because that's for me the biggest part. Not the hiring, not the training, but the finding them and knowing that you can trust them and their experience.
You have two choices. So you can go out and try to find one that is task specific. So if you go on to Fiverr to maybe, let's say, get a logo for your company, or you can go on to, it used to be called Upwork. It's called something else now, but they're all the same. They bought each other. So I think it's called Workforce or something, or I don't remember, but you'll find it immediately if you just type in virtual assistant. So those people are a little bit more project-based. They're not task-based, but they still have a talent. We've had a lot of luck with Fiverr, a tremendous amount of luck. And here's how I use Fiverr. I send out, let's say it's a logo, I'll send it out to 10 or 15 people. And I spend $5 or $10 with each of those people and then choose the one I want. So yeah, great. I spent $50 to $100 on got a logo that should have cost $5,000. That works. The project-based, hey, I'm really good at mapping stuff on Google Earth, that kind of VA, never had any luck. That's the middle kind of VA. I've tried and tried and tried to retain those people, and I think most of them have other jobs. Because
if they're that good.
The VA that we ended with is a person that sits next to you virtually and does every single thing you ask him to do.
Right.
But she found me.
Yeah.
So she found me because we launched this landinvestors.com website. And she was contacting all of our members saying, hey, I can do this for you. I can do this for you. And Jill got a little miffed, quite honestly.
I did. I'm like, who's this crazy person?
And my response was, no, wait a second. Let's embrace this.
Yeah.
Not make it a bad thing. Let's make it a good thing for ourselves, which is strange for you and I, because we're usually in the reversed roles. And she ended up being we have multiple people in her organization working for us full time, 40 hours a week. One works for offers to owners. And anyway.
Right.
Long story short, just use her. Go out onto landinvestors.com and ask these people which VA to use.
Right.
And she's done a lot of these tasks anyway. I talk to her all the time. Our staff talks to her on a daily basis. We totally trust her. We've been using her for 2 years probably.
Right.
She has a team of people in the Philippines And we're collaborating on, she and I right now on Skype, which is why I wrote this title, collaborating to offer a program to anybody who wants it, who's a member, for a certain dollar amount. And we're almost done with that. We will launch it in conjunction with House Academy. And it's not just anything. It's all project-based because we all do the same thing. We just do it in different counties and different zip codes and different the areas that we choose. So she's very used to doing the things for us that you're going to need her to do, or you need her to do right now.
So that's the best way to find one then, is to find one that's already tested and trusted by somebody else.
That's right.
So then how do you train them? What's your best tip for training them?
Okay, great. Excellent question. And I'm sure you know the answer. There's obviously a language barrier. In her case, she's types very well and speaks very well, but there still is a language barrier. Right. So for every single project, we do a little video, an in-screen video, or a video with like you see now here with my face saying, do this, do this, do this, and then I go back into the screen. Here's 5 steps. Fill this spreadsheet out. Make it as simple as you can. In less than 8th grade English, so that everybody completely understand it and you can get it done. I mean, you're not going to ask a virtual assistant. This is my opinion. We don't use a virtual assistant to decide which properties we're going to buy,
right?
Or to pick a county,
correct? Or to price a mailer.
We don't ask them to do anything that's like mission critical or business critical. Right. We just ask them to do repetitive tasks that would be incredibly difficult to do and pay for in this country.
Can I give one example?
For sure.
Like a repetitive task would be, Stephen will ask them to do every county in the state. I need this spreadsheet filled out with this. I need to know how many parcels there are. I need to know this. 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 Stuff that would take somebody weeks to sit line by line.
It does take them weeks.
And put it in, right? Yeah, it would take months then. Take us months. But they can do it in a week or two. Because she has a team that's all they're doing, filling in all those lines. Because it's how many lines? Maybe it's 400,000 lines of data, let's just say. If it's something like that, that's what you have them do. And you show them specifically, I want you to go to this site, pull in this information, and put it here. And that way, you have your stuff. You can go back and make an educated decision. That's the kind of stuff we use them for.
There's a lot of examples like that. Mm-hmm. But in general, it's repetitive, consistent tasks. And then this person in the Philippines has IT people, so they do back-end maintenance on some of the websites. And they do a daily report. So they'll fill out and tell us what they did every day.
Right.
Because you don't want it to get out of control. But here's the numbers.
Yeah.
You're going to spend maybe $300-$400 a week on this max. And you'd be spending a lot more than that. And taking a risk by hiring somebody in this country, bringing them into your office, wherever that is. Most people won't come to your house if you have a home office. There's a lot of barriers for a lot of reasons. That some stuff's appropriate for VAs and some stuff's appropriate for employees. My belief has always been, my vision's always been, there's you at the top, who's, in our case, Jill and I are at the top. We have some department heads. We call them managers or senior managers, depending on where they are. And then all the VAs report to them, unless it's special projects like I'm working on right now. And that's how I would recommend organizing that. Trust is key here, like Jill said.
One of the things I love about it, too, by the way, is you can turn them on and turn it off. What if you have a big thing that you need some help with right now that this would take you 2 months to do, and they could do it in two days or 2 weeks? Great. And you can shut it down and get back to them when you need them for the next time. Maybe it's just picking a county. You need all this data to collect, or pricing something. You need to look at these comps, whatever it is. And that I think is awesome. You can't do that with somebody part-time. You can't say, hi, I need you this week. You know what? I don't need you next week. I'll call you in April, or I'll call you in May. I might need you then. I think I'm closing. I don't know. I'll get back to you. They'd be like, they're gone. You just, and all the money and the time and the effort you went to train them would be like, it's too expensive. Yeah.
I mean, here's a good example. With the release of House Academy, I will release the results of this project. I took every single county in the country.
This is cool.
And actually every single zip code.
Yeah.
And I asked them, and I showed them through little videos to let us know how many houses are in that market, how many vacant pieces of land are in that market, and a lot of other statistics so that you can It's a tool that makes a decision-making process for you to decide where to send mail out to buy houses much, much, much easier. Exactly. It's like cheating. I mean, and it's been a culmination of over a year. And I countless dollars per hour to get it done. It's really cool.
Yeah.
It's worth the price of the program easily.
Yeah.
Well, you've done it again. You spent another 15 minutes or so listening to the Land Academy show. Join us next time for Finance Friday with me, Stephen, Jill DeWitt, and Justin Sleva.
Thank you. And we answer your questions posted on our online community, landinvestors.com. Check it out. It's free.
You are not alone in your real estate ambition.
How are we going to release that? Speaking of which, because that's a lot of data.
We're going to release it on we don't really know.
I mean, is it going to be by state? Is it going to be, I know you and I have talked about all kinds of different ways that we can share this information. We can share it with certain people if they want to, just focus on that. What are your latest thoughts here?
If I have my way from a tech standpoint, and that doesn't always happen, we will release I set up, when I wrote Countywise, I set it up for subscription levels. So if you're a House Academy member, you'll have access to that.
Got it. So different levels will get different states and different things?
Yeah.
Love it.
Right now, it's all free.
Love it. Oh, Countywise is.
Countywise, yeah.
But you're thinking of a thing for the house, for houses.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Countywise will have login level and free level.
Oh, you're going to change Countywise? That's your goal. I see.
Yeah, so if you want to research Oklahoma to see if you should buy houses there or not, you log in to Countywise, and it gives you an incredible amount of statistics.
And then on the back end, you'll have all this House Academy data.
That's exactly right.
Got it.
Exactly.
That's it.
Right now, it's just, it's free, and I look at the numbers on it. People use it all the time.
I learned something today.
Usually it's the other way around.
This is great.
But like I said, from an IT perspective, we don't know if, that may or may not fit in with the time frame of the launch. So we'll figure it out. But you can't just release a spreadsheet. The whole world will
it'd be just
grab it. And it'll get messed up too. That's what the real tragedy is. You're working off of bad data. That's bad.
That's true. Wherever you're watching or wherever you're listening, hey, please subscribe and rate us there. We are Steve and Jill.
Information
and inspiration
to buy undervalued property.